Good morning, Grangers, and welcome to the 2020-2021 grade level meetings. This year, our grade level meetings are going to be a little bit different. Right now, you should be in your class and you're going to watch this. At the end of this video, if you have any questions, please make sure that you ask your teacher. I'm Coach Bozeman, the Freshman Academy Administrator, and you'll also hear from Ms. Thompson, our CTA Administrator, and Ms. Wimbush, another Assistant Principal here at LaGrange High School. Today we're going to cover some basic things that you need to know to help you be successful in the 2020-2021 school year. So let's get started. First off, if you have not already gone on Instagram and liked the Student Services Instagram page, please do so. The address is right here on the screen for you. That would be very helpful for you as it relates to common everyday questions that you may have as it relates to being a student at LaGrange High School. Miss Chrissy Bryan is our secretary down there who runs student services. She helps us with student parking, lockers, dress code issues, lunch detention, and things like that. So you need to know, number one, where she's located. She's located in the E building. As soon as you walk in the bottom floor, her office is right there on the left. But this Instagram page has some common updates. If we find some things in Lost and Found, that your information may be down there. So go ahead and go on Instagram and like that page. All right. We have not passed out or are not planning on giving you guys a student behavior handbook, okay? But this is online for you to access at any point in time. So please go online, take a look at this. Also make sure that your parents know that it's there as well. If you go on the LaGrange High School website, if you pull the screen down on the left-hand side, there's going to be a tab or a link there which says Student Forms and Documents. If you'll click on that tab, then the student planner should come up. That student planner is going to cover everything that we're about to cover in this video. But should you ever have questions throughout the school year as it relates to graduation requirements, attendance policy, grading policy, state codes for discipline, or anything that dress code, anything that relates to LaGrange High School and you being a student here can be found in that student handbook. Again, go on our LaGrange High School website and click on student forms and school forms and documents, and the link to that particular handbook will be there. The first thing I want to cover is going to be student behavior, okay, and the student code of conduct. Now, the Troup County Board of Education has defined our student code of conduct as such, and to the idea of fostering appropriate behavior and conduct of all students in the Troup County schools is necessary to create a proper learning environment, to maintain good order and discipline, and to teach and instill in all students the attitude of being law-abiding citizens. Now, in order for that to happen, the Troup County school systems, along with LaGrange High School, have adopted, a student code of conduct. So, where does this apply? Now, a lot of you think that this is just going to apply in the school whenever you get here in the morning and then when you leave at 3:15 or 3:10 in the afternoon. And that's simply not the case. So we're going to go through a couple of things here that lets you know when Troup County's school code of conduct applies to you as a student at LaGrange High School or a student at any school in the Troup County school systems. So number one, the Troup County Code of Conduct, is going to apply on school grounds during and immediately before and immediately after school hours or off school grounds while en route to and from school. So while you are here Monday through Friday, whenever you get on that bus, whenever you get off that bus, when you're at school first period through seventh period, when the bell rings to dismiss, you are subject to the Student Code of Conduct. Number two, on the school grounds at any other time when school is being used by a school group or at a school-related function. For instance, if Service Club is up here doing work, campus cleanup, or things like that on Saturday or Sunday afternoon, school is not technically in session on Saturday or Sunday. However, if you are with an organization or club that is affiliated with LaGrange High School, you are still subject to the Code of Conduct during those times and hours. Number three, off the school grounds at school activities, functions, or events. So guys, if you are not at LaGrange High School, it's after hours, but you play a sport and you are at a football game, baseball, basketball, volleyball, softball, soccer, tennis match, whatever the case may be. Or even if you're not an athlete, but you are attending a function, that is school related, so you're attending one of those events, then you are still subject at that time to the Troup County School Code of Conduct. All right. Next, on school grounds during and immediately, I'm sorry, I just did that. So we got 2 slides in there, I apologize. Number 4, en route to and from school on a school bus or other school vehicle or while waiting off school grounds at a designated school bus stop for a school bus to transport a student to or from school or school activity. So guys, if you are waiting at the bus stop at 7 o'clock or 7:30 in the morning, or if you are waiting, or if you're getting off the bus and that bus drops you off and leaves and you are at that bus stop, all right, any of those locations, you are still subject to Troup County School Code of Conduct. Number 5, off school grounds when the prohibited conduct is directed because of a school-related connection against the person, family, property, privacy, or tranquility of an employee of the Troup County Board of Education. So in other words, if it's Monday night at 10 or 11 o'clock, or if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, school's not in session, or if it's on the weekend and school is not in session, but you commit an act, all right, where you are targeting something or somebody at your school, all right, and it causes a disruption in the learning environment, you are then subject to discipline under the Student Code of Conduct, Troup County Student Code of Conduct. Number 6, it applies to the conduct by a student, whether directed to or committed upon another student or a teacher, administrator, or school personnel, or towards a person attending a school function or LaGrange High School. So in other words, if you are, again, using Instagram, Snapchat, and a lot of you guys like to post things here and there, but you're targeting someone specifically at your school, all right, and it's 1 or 2 in the morning, that right there is against the Student Code of Conduct, and you can be subjected to discipline under the Student Code of Conduct for those actions. Number 7, it applies to any off-campus behavior of a student, which could result in that student being criminally charged with a felony, and which makes that student a continued presence at school a potential danger to the person or persons or property at school, or which disrupts the educational learning environment. So let me explain this one really quick, okay? If you guys are off campus, all right, and it is after school hours, and you are involved in something which then requires police involvement, which causes you to get charged, all right, you can be subject to school discipline as it relates to those charges, if those charges are going to cause a disruption in the learning environment at your school, regardless if it took place on school grounds. So please make sure that you understand that the Student Code of Conduct is not necessarily something that just happens while you're at school during school hours, but it can involve a whole lot of things as it relates to you being a student in a Troup County school, when and where you're doing those things and what it's causing as it relates to maybe possibly again, some kind of disruption in the educational environment, okay? Now, in the Troup County school systems, we have what we call a progressive disciplinary code or progressive disciplinary policy, which in other words means that whenever you commit certain acts, all right, which in other words like low intensity type infractions against the school code, all right, the first offense may carry a lesser punishment, and then the second offense, third offense, fourth offense, that is progressively going to get worse and worse, okay? So first offense, you're gonna have a disciplinary consequence. Depending on the action, could be administrator discretion where we warn you or we give you lunch detention. Some things may carry the weight of an automatic 1-day in-school suspension or 3 days in-school suspension, all right? Or it could, depend, and I'll talk about some of these in a second, but if you get into a fight, your first offense, you've got 5 days out, 5 days in. So depending on what you do, all right, on a lower intensity kind of action, it is progressive and it will gradually get worse the more you commit that particular offense, okay? I want to go over a couple of these things right here with you, and then Ms. Thompson will talk a little bit more about dress code in depth because I believe it's on here. But these are some of the most common disciplinary actions that happen on a day-to-day basis with students in our school system. Number 1, and a lot of you don't really see this as being an issue, or know that you're doing this, but harassment, okay? A lot of people want to say that they're being bullied and things like that. We first of all have to define what bullying and harassment is, and then we take it from there. Normally, if we can't say that it is bullying first off, then we'll label it as harassment, but tell you if it happens again because it's continuous or ongoing, then it will be changed to bullying. But harassment is going to be something that happens which is making another individual feel uncomfortable or fearful as it relates to your involvement in whatever it is with them, okay? Cheating. If you are cheating on a test, if you're cheating on a quiz, you're going to be given a 0 for that assignment with the option to retake or redo, not necessarily that same assignment because that's up to the teacher's discretion, but then you could also be subject to disciplinary action, say as a day of in-school suspension for that particular class period. All right. Electronic devices. Ms. Wimbush will talk about electronic devices in a few minutes, but electronic devices, every single one of you at this point should have a Chromebook. All right. We also know that you have your own iPads or your own cell phones. Okay. You are not to use those things unless the teacher has given you specific instructions to do so, unless it's during lunchtime or during class change. If a teacher has directed you not to have your cell phone out and mama calls or you're just checking text messages or Instagram or Snapchat, then you could receive a referral for inappropriate use of an electronic device and then be subject to disciplinary action because of that. Okay, so please make sure that you are not using your electronic device during an inappropriate time. Disruptive behavior. Guys, if you're disrupting the classroom to the point to where a teacher has to call and get an administrator to come remove you from a class, you're going to receive some disciplinary action. Depending on how severe or what that particular action is will determine how many days of in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension that you would receive for that. Horseplay. A lot of you like to run around in the halls, chase each other, hit each other on the shoulder and take off running, or just doing things that you shouldn't be doing. If you're doing those things, all right, and you receive a referral for it, then you're going to receive disciplinary action. On the first offense, it's going to be one thing. Again, progressively, it's going to get worse and worse. So keep your hands to yourself, don't run in the hallway, and do what you know you're supposed to do. Fighting. All right, fighting is a zero tolerance deal here. Your first offense, you're going to receive 5 days in school, 5 days out of school. The second time, you'll receive 10 days of OSS with possibly a referral to Hope Academy. So please make sure that if you're having an issue with somebody, you find somebody who can help you with that particular issue, whether it's an administrator, a nearby teacher, but do everything you can to avoid a conflict with another individual because you will be subject to disciplinary action. PDA, this is public display of affection, okay? Guys, girls, you are not allowed to hold hands, touch each other, put your arms around, hug, anything like that. Walk another person to class and then hug before you go in there. Keep your hands to yourself and do not touch another individual. PDA, public display of affection, will result in disciplinary action. Also, out of area. We get a lot of this, so please understand what this means. If you are in a place in our building which you are not supposed to be, all right? So in other words, I don't have permission to be in this location. If my class, third period, is in the A building, top floor, Miss Slay, then I need to be there. I don't need to be over in E and F. If I'm supposed to be in first lunch, I don't need to be walking around the boys' gym or the girls' gym. Be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, doing what you're supposed to be doing. If not, you're going to get written up for being out of area, and out of area automatically covers or constitutes 1 day of in-school suspension, no questions asked. After that, you'll get more days. Skipping. Skipping means basically that you just didn't go to class at all. Okay. You come to school, you're not where you're supposed to be, you don't go to class, teacher writes you up for skipping, that's 3 days of in-school suspension. So please make sure that you're in class. All right. Our dual enrollment students. Dual enrollment students, if you come to school and you've got dual enrollment second or third or maybe fifth period, and you do not check out in the appropriate manner that you're supposed to check out, then you come back on campus, you can be considered skipping. So please make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to as it relates to checkout procedures for those dual enrollment classes so that you don't get caught for skipping. And then tobacco and vaping. All right, again, if you're in possession of some of these things or if you're doing this on campus, it is subject to disciplinary action. So these are some of our more common disciplinary codes. Now, I'm going to get to some things that are more severe, all right, which require a mandatory hearing. All right, if it's a low intensity offense like what I just talked about, those will be between you and your administrator. All right, if this is a mandatory offense hearing, and I'll talk about the two types of hearings that we can have here in just a second, but this will be between you, your administrator, and a parent or guardian. So a mandatory offense carries things such as aggravated assault, robbery. If you are stealing things on campus or you've had something stolen from you, okay, and you're caught doing that, then that's theft by taking. That's a mandatory hearing offense. False report of a fire, inciting a riot where you're trying to boost people up to go into a bathroom to fight, guys. All right, that is inciting a riot. You could be subject to a mandatory hearing and possibly go to Hope Academy. So please make sure that you do not do things like that. Battery, armed robbery, false public alarms, physical violence towards another individual or school personnel, aggravated battery, weapons. All right, and that could be anything between a small, knife or, something like that, which is considered by definition a weapon. Influencing a witness as it relates to a tribunal hearing that may possibly be going on, hazing an individual, sexual harassment, gang participation on campus. Any of these things right here will be related or seen as a mandatory hearing offense. Theft by taking, drugs or alcohol. If you're caught with drugs or alcohol on campus, that's a mandatory hearing offense. Automatically you're going to Hope Academy. So please don't have those things. Damage to school property, sexual battery, the use of drugs or alcohol. If you have any questions about any of those things, then you need to ask your teacher. And if your teacher can't answer it, then you need to come see an administrator if you have a question in regards to things that's a mandatory hearing offense. Okay, so what is a hearing? A hearing can happen two ways, okay? Number one, we can have a tribunal, or we can have what we call an ADR, and that's an alternative disciplinary resolution. All right, and we give you the choice and your parent the choice of which way that you want to handle it. So let me explain what these two things are. A tribunal is like a court case, okay? If you're written up and you're accused of doing something, all right, and you and the school and your parents do not agree on the discipline and they want to take it to a tribunal, then what we'll do is we'll have a charge letter that'll say this is what you've been charged with, and we will go to a school hearing. We will have a 3-panel, like 3 judges, and the school system and the administrator bringing the charges will present evidence as it relates to you based on what it is that he or she, the student, may have done. All right, and then you will have the option of defending your case. Again, it's like a small court hearing. In a tribunal setting, we, as the school, recommend a specific discipline resolution, all right, in regards to the actions, but we do not get to determine if that is upheld. The tribunal panel will determine that, and whatever they can either do what we ask, they can do more than we ask, or they can do less. So just know that that is an option. The other option is an ADR. An ADR is where the school says this is what happened, the parents agree that that's what happened, this is the discipline, the parents agree that the discipline is okay, and the school and the parents sit down, we have a meeting for about 10 or 15 minutes, we sign some papers, and then you serve the discipline that is there. Basically, that waives the tribunal process and gets rid of all that long kind of court proceeding, and we do those things in-house, okay? As it relates to student code of conduct, there are some mandatory offenses or discipline. If you're caught with firearms or a dangerous weapon on campus, we'll take you to a tribunal. You will not have an option for an ADR, and you'll be expelled from Troup County school systems, which means you won't ever be able to come back, okay? If you're found with drugs or alcohol on Troup County school grounds, we can have an ADR or we can take it to a tribunal, but you'll automatically go to Hope Academy for at least 90 days, if not more, okay? And then serve a probationary period when you come back, if you do come back. Bullying or cyberbullying, all right, that's an automatic offense. You'll go to Hope Academy for at least 90 days with a period of probation when you come back, if you come back, okay? So guys, those are some things as it relates to Troup County Code of Conduct. If you're not sure about something or you have questions, please ask your teacher, or you can come and find your administrator and they'll be able to explain it in more depth.
Students, the event that was sweeping the globe last spring has changed the way that we live and the way that we do school. So we do have some COVID regulations and guidelines in place. Temperature checks are taken every morning. All students, staff, and faculty must go through and check their temperature as they enter the building in the mornings. Also, please remember that you need to have your mask on. Make certain that you're wearing your mask in the appropriate manner. I have mine to show you. Your mask needs to cover both your nose and your mouth at all times. Please make sure that you have these masks on. If you don't have one, you can stop by the front office in the morning and pick one up there. Also in the cafeteria, remember table occupancy is limited to 6 students per table. And also remember that at this time, we have a no visitor policy.
Students, we're going to talk about electronic devices. All of you at this point should have a Chromebook. Please remember that you are to bring your Chromebook every single day. When you bring your Chromebook to school, make sure that it is charged so that you can use it in every class, and do not give your Chromebook to any other student to use. Your Chromebook, your use only. When you're using personal electronic devices, please remember you can use them during class change, during lunch, or in classrooms if a teacher gives you permission for educational use only. If the teacher has not given you permission, you cannot use your electronic device. Please remember a couple of things when using your electronic devices. Plugging your phone or any other personal device into your Chromebook to charge. When you do this, please look at the screen where you see where it says access. When you give your phone access to back up to your Chromebook, you also give us access to everything that's on your phone. So make sure that when you're doing this, you hit do not allow. Student IDs. Every student at this point should have an ID. We're using these IDs for your safety and to get you workplace ready. When you go to work in the future, you will usually have to wear an ID. So please make sure you have yours at school every day. It should be displayed around your neck, as so, and you may use the lanyard provided or your own. Failure to wear an ID may result in suspension.
Students, fashion trends change every year, and we've seen that just a little bit more at the high school in the last couple of weeks. Remember that we are always striving to help you to dress for success, so we need to give you a few guidelines as we go forward. Remember, shorts, skirts, and tops with leggings must be fingertip length, and that's your middle finger, with arms extended to by the side. Young ladies, we've seen many shorts, dresses, and skirts that are way too short. If in doubt, please check with someone at home or just don't wear that to school, but many of your shorts are extremely too short. Also with jeans, there should be no holes above the knees. We've also seen a lot of jeans as we've come back to school that have holes all the way up to the pockets. This is not appropriate for school. Also, young men, pants need to be worn at your waist. There should be no hats, hoodies, sweatbands, or stocking caps worn in the building, and bandanas are also not allowed. No shirts with inappropriate words, pictures, or symbols are allowed at school, and no tank tops with large armholes should be worn. Young ladies, your midriff should never be showing, even when your arms are down by your side. I realize that this trend is very popular right now, but you cannot have your midriff showing when you're at school. Also, tops with straps must be 2 inches in width to cover up your foundation wear. Cold shoulder tops are not allowed at school right now. We should never see any undergarments, whether it's a female or a male. And again, these trends are very popular, but it's just not appropriate for school, and we are trying to get you ready to go to work. If you are not in dress code compliant, you're going to have 3 options. The first one is to change clothes. If you don't have the ability to change clothes, then you may need to wait in ISS for someone to bring you some additional clothing, or we may send you home to change clothes so that you can come back. What you don't have are the following options: to just put a jacket on to cover up whatever it is that you have on, or pulling your skirt down or your shirt down, or taking your hair to cover up your shoulders so that it cannot be seen. Those are not options for you when trying to follow dress code. And remember, this is your warning. We've gone through 2 weeks now. We've seen a lot of dress code violations, but this is your warning. So you can expect to have some people addressing you about your dress code going forward. The first item that will happen is that you will have lunch detention. If we continue to see dress code problems, you could go to ISS. For repeat offenders, it is no longer an issue of a dress code, but failure to comply. So if someone is constantly telling you that your shorts are too short, I can assume that you do know what the dress code policy is, but you are refusing to follow it. These are some looks that are never appropriate for school. As you can see, a woman's midriff, her shoulders, her bare back, holes all the way to the pockets of jeans, and also another midriff, and a skirt that is too short. No portion of your belly or midriff should ever be visible. Shorts must be longer than your fingertips, and the holes in your jeans must stop at the knee. Again, no shower caps on your head, no pajama pants, and all of your clothing should be school appropriate. You should not have any inappropriate items on your shirts.
Transportation. Drivers must register their vehicle with Ms. Bryan in the Student Services Office. That's in E-Building. Reserved parking spaces are $50. General parking at the track on Honeycutt Drive. No parking at the tennis complex at all. Use crosswalks to access parking lots. No walking in the middle of the street. Drivers may not be paying attention, and we don't want you to get hurt. Parking your assigned parking spot only. Parking violation causes loss of parking privileges. Car riders. Parent pickup and drop off is on Marshall Street at the cafeteria. When you come in the morning, make sure that you walk and do the temperature check. You are never allowed to be dropped off or picked up at the front of the school, parking lots, and the F building parking lot.
All right, guys, let's talk about some things as it relates to what you need to graduate, okay? Especially for incoming freshmen, and then those of you that are upperclassmen, you still need to know some of these things. All right, so credits to graduate. Number one, you know that you take 7 courses every year, okay? In order for you to graduate, you need to accumulate 23 credits over the course of 4 years in order to graduate, okay? We do offer some assistance for you as it relates to summer school if you fall behind and things like that, but try your best to stay on track throughout the course of every single year. If you need help with anything as it relates to course credits or just any general information, students, you need to know that you have a guidance office that is there to help you, okay? They can provide the following things for you. Things like meals for the weekend. If you have an issue where you have to go on homebound services, they have that. Counseling, dual enrollment classes, pro fair information. There's a whole list of information that you can see right here. I'm not going to read through all these, but this is what our counseling department can do for you, okay, if you have any questions. All right. Our registrar's office, both of these are located in the bottom floor of the A building, okay? When you walk down to the bottom floor of the A building, they're on the left-hand side. Our registrar's office, Miss Julie Stodgel, she's down there. She handles things like, with Miss Lisa, they handle things like transcripts, withdrawal information and enrollment information, records, and then your counselors are across the hall on the other side, all right? Now let's talk about grading policy for a second. LaGrange High School has a grading policy that is different from the other 2 schools in our system. When I say that, I mean Troop and Callaway. All right, so ours is very unique to the students here at LaGrange High School. When it comes to grading, all right, your grade is going to basically make up 100% of the work that you do inside of a course, all right, in a given year. But now that grade is broken down really into kind of 2 sections. Number one, you have coursework that you're going to look at, and then you're going to have your final, okay? Your coursework is 80% of your grade. This goes for virtual students as well, so please lock into this, all right? Now, when we start taking a look at that 80%, it's broken down into 3 components. Number one, you're going to have summative assessments, formative assessments, and soft skills. Your summative assessments are those things that your teachers give you, like unit tests, any kind of project or paper or something like that they deem that shows mastery of standards over a given period of time on a particular standard, all right? Formative assessments, being 20% of that grade, is going to be anything that they see as like daily checks that they use, small quizzes and things like that to check your progress through the course of a unit. And then soft skills. Soft skills can be anything that they deem as necessary to your participation and success here at LaGrange High School. Got a visual I'll show you here in just one second. The last part of this is the 20% from your final. If you have an EOC class, then your EOC is going to count for that 20%. If it's a non-EOC class, then your teacher will make a final for that particular class, which will count for that particular grade, all right? That's how your grade is broken down. I know I covered that pretty quickly, so if you have any questions when we finish this video, you can talk to your teacher and they can break that down for you. We take a look at soft skills. All right, so this is what your soft skill grade would look like. All right, so anything that your teacher sees, if you're in a group work and that you're looking at how you collaborate with other students, wearing your ID on a daily basis, having your face mask that Ms. Thompson was talking about a while ago, just being prepared for class. So anything that your teacher deems as being a soft skill grade, they may put that in at any given time. All right, your attendance policy.
The LaGrange High School attendance policy really hasn't changed from year to year, so only you ninth graders should be the ones that are not very familiar with this. All students will check in or out through the front office attendance window. Please remember that it's important for you to check out properly. If you do not check out the way that you're supposed to, you are considered skipping. Leaving campus without permission is a referral for skipping. And Coach Bozeman already covered that's automatic in-school suspension. Work-based learning students, you know that you're supposed to come to the CTAE office in the bottom floor of B to sign out to go to work. Or when you come into school from working in the morning, you should also sign in there. Send It will be used to contact parents daily for all unexcused absences. Incidentally, if your parents are signed up for Infinite Campus, they might also get an immediate notification on their phones to let them know that you have either been marked absent or that you have been marked tardy. So keep that in mind also. For our Granger Virtual Academy, there's some things to remember. You need to log on to your Canvas daily to check for assignments. Be mindful that not all assignments are due at the same time. Check with your teacher if you have any questions about specific assignments. And remember to simply go into Infinite Campus and check that you participated doesn't mean that you are counted as being present for that day. You are responsible for logging into a live session once a week. You can refer back to the virtual schedule to see which days that you need to log in. This is a part of your attendance count each week. If you have an OdysseyWare course, this course is not in Canvas. Make sure you're logging in daily to make progress. If you have any questions about your login information, please see the virtual section of our school website. Message your assigned teacher in OdysseyWare if you have any specific course questions. Our Granger Virtual Academy schedule is as follows. On Monday, you have live instruction in social studies. On Tuesday, you have live instruction in math. On Wednesday, you have live instruction in ELA. And on Thursday, you have live instruction in science. Fridays we use for live instruction in elective classes. Please remember that in order for you to gain course credit, you cannot have too many absences. Upon 5 absences, the school will notify parents and juvenile authorities. At 7 unexcused absences, you may lose credit for that specified class. Students with serious medical illnesses or conditions may be eligible for homebound services. All work missed is expected to be made up for all absences. Students should contact your teacher to get any of that material that you've missed while you're out. We also have Saturday school available to help you to recovery attendance. Students who will lose course credit due to unexcused absences may participate. Saturday school will be held on 12 Saturdays throughout the year from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Each day a student participates will replace one absence for one day. Students will be able to recover a maximum of 12 days of attendance. This is a reminder, absences due to school-sponsored activities are always excused. If you're not in the classroom when the bell rings, you are tardy. Teachers will mark students tardy in Infinite Campus and a referral will be written when needed. Students more than 10 minutes late arriving to school must check in through the front attendance office. Students who go to class and bypass the front office will receive a referral for skipping. Students that are more than 5 minutes late between class changes may receive a referral for out of area. Tardy consequences are progressive. On your 4th tardy, you will receive a referral and 3 days lunch detention. And you can see that this progresses on up to 9 tardies. If you've been tardy for 9 times, this is no longer an attendance issue. This will then be refusal to cooperate, an administrator will most likely assign you to in-school suspension or either OSS. So what do you do if you are not feeling well, you're having issues with someone, you feel like you're being bullied, or you have general concerns about day-to-day school? Our counseling department has 3 counselors. If your last name begins with A through F, you'll see Mrs. Dodson. If your last name begins with G through M, you will see Mr. Scott. And if your last name begins with N through Z, you'll see Mrs. Phelps. Our administrative team is here to help you. Mr. Bozeman, Coach Bozeman, works with our 9th and 10th grade young men. Mrs. Wimbush works with our 9th and 10th grade young women. Mr. White, our principal, works with our 11th and 12th grade young men, and I work with our 11th and 12th grade young women. Our social worker is Mrs. Maggie Brown. Our school nurse is Mrs. Amy Kreitz, and our school resource officer is Officer Lane Hamer. So if you have any questions about any of this information that we've presented to you today, please feel free to talk it over with your teacher. You may also contact any of our administrative team, and please know that we're so happy to have you back at LaGrange High School walking the halls again, and we're looking forward to having a great year. Go Grangers!